I am Joke Silva, and I am a champion.
Please welcome a keynote speaker, the president for the Forum for Women in Film, TV, and other screen-based media to give us our keynote
speech. What's the difference between gender equality and gender equity? So there's Agatha here, and then Sasha here, yeah? So this is it visually.
Yes. Now we're different that this happens.
And we all get to have 4-inch boxes to start on. All of us. All of us. She has a 4-inch box. I have a 4-inch box. Agatha has a 4-inch box to stand on, to look at a wall that is, let's say, 5'7". All right? Are we all going to see the same thing?
No. That's equality.
But that's hard, or it's
That's equality. For equity, it's giving her the tallest box.
yes. I must have two boxes.
Yes.
Yes, because I am short.
Yeah.
So, to give us a proper equity, I must have 2 boxes. Maybe she needs 1.5, and then she has this same normal box that she had. Then it is equitable, and then we will all see the same thing.
Before a girl finds her voice, she first sees herself in a story. But for many years, those stories were incomplete. For over 4 decades, Joke Silva has stood at the center of African storytelling, not just as an actress, but as a force for truth.
But that's the way to explain the difference between equality. You can give everybody the same thing. And so that's some of the things that we're saying. I'll just quickly mention, although this is not about the special seats bill, but that's one the thing about the special seats bill is also about. Because women have been in disadvantage for so many years, there has to be affirmative action. Or like you heard in the movie, in the documentary, the man say, yeah, I don't mind women. Women, please come and load, come and take it, but don't move me away don't take it from my space. Do you understand? And it's not only the men that are saying it. The women are also saying the same thing. The women are saying, when you say to me, they say, you want my husband to lose his position. Do you understand? They're not, so.
From performing live on stage to historical epics like The Amazing Grace to contemporary stories like Phone Swap and Chief Daddy, her performances have carried women beyond stereotypes into complexity, power, and presence. But her greatest work may not even be on screen. Through Lofudo Academy of Performing Arts, she is building something deeper, a new generation of storytellers.
We've been asked to discuss positive representation of women when it comes to economic empowerment. And the way we want to approach it is to look at which areas do we have very few women in our country. Where do we find that women are very underrepresented, And we've come up with 2. First of all, in distribution, which is our area of specialty. Within the entertainment creative industry, distribution, women are really, underrepresented. And then we also look at the armed forces. If we look at all the top generals across the armed forces, none is a woman. So we want to create a scenario around that and see what we come up with.
The complexities of both genders, there is no need to demonize one for the other. There's no need to raise one above the other. What equity is saying is that we embrace, like she rightly said, we embrace our differences and work together for a better world. Understanding what our various issues are, and trying as much as possible to solve what those issues are together. It's that togetherness that I love. Yes.
Now, when we're talking about our stories, we've watched this documentary. How do we want to tell our stories in such a way that they are equitable?
Over the years, there's been an almost invisibilizing, for want of a better word, of the male gender. So that I was very pleasantly surprised coming on this program and seeing that we were talking about gender equity. I have always thought of gender equality. Gender equity was now something on a more complex. And I like that trajectory, and I'm praying that that's where we evolve to.
Joke Silva believes that stories shape how we see women and how women see themselves. With Lofudo Productions, co-founded with legendary actor Olu Jacobs, she has spent decades challenging what is normal and expanding what is possible. Joke Silva has been one of the most influential figures in pushing gender equity in Nigeria, particularly through the systems she's helped build. Her impact operates on multiple levels.
So I think what I hear is that it is possible for FWIFT to try and start seeing how we can speak to government or to agents of government in our space to then start pushing for this, for what we want. But in the meantime, whilst we're doing that, I think we can run it pari passu, as we say in my own generation. We can run it parallel, or say, not correct. We can run it parallel. But that's a very good idea.
I'm super excited to have been one of the people opportuned to be in this gathering today. It was absolutely mind-blowing.
Minority, the film that was screened here, actually opened my eye to so many things, most especially to what women face politically. And
though to a large extent, probably I've had more women as mentees, the truth is that because there is a gap between those in positions of leadership within the broadcast industry and within journalism, the media as a whole, it's important for us to make sure that we give women the skills, the knowledge, even the desire to scale up so that they can put themselves at par with their male counterparts within the broadcast industry and the media industry as a whole.
I remember I did a play called Digging for Gold, in which I looked at the issue of corruption, but not looking at corruption as, for me, it was why? Why do people who seemingly have everything, why do they go into corruption? And it was examining those issues and all that. And I was the director, I was the producer, and I was playing lead. And I remember I was one of the actors that I was directing, big time actor. He wouldn't listen to what I was telling him. He just wouldn't listen. Move here, do this, you need to do this work. And we're working on everything. And I remember on the day of the first performance, everybody else had paid attention, and they were all also big actors, They had all they were all big actors. And that day, after that first performance, he burst into tears and he apologized. He said he just didn't feel, he just didn't think that, I knew what I was doing, but he realized
you know, exactly, especially when the other actors were paying attention and were doing what, you know, but but I think it's also that conditioning that one, you're an actor, two, he knew when I came into the industry. Do you understand? He was already working, was already a big time director himself when I came into the industry. And here I am being the director of a show, you know. So that conditioning was there for him to, oh, you know, I can do it. But, you know, he now came back. After that, he said, okay, help me. So where do I go? But there was nothing I could do. I just had to say to myself, you know, you need to experience what the fallout of what you have been doing in rehearsals is, you know. So those various biases, as you say, one has navigated them, one has learned from them, one has grown from them.
Talk about unstereotypical storytelling. However, I want us to talk about what is a stereotype in the first place. What would you consider to be a stereotype? One, the single story that's saying that, you know, and just that society has accepted as the truth, as the norm. All right, the woman is subservient, the woman is diminished, and then the man is not allowed to have what one would consider feminine traits. Yeah, okay. Stereotype is a single story that the community has bought into in such a way that it leaves no room for any kind of complexity, and the creation of a stereotype that doesn't exist. Can I give you one and let us analyze it? It's the saint. The saint. The saint. An example of a stereotype is a wicked mother-in-law. That's a single story. There are so many mothers-in-laws that are not wicked. And there are wicked mother-in-laws that when we find out why they are wicked, you sometimes find that they are justified. You know, when you make up this single story, it can be very harmful to the society. You know, that's something that we do in storytelling a lot. Because we want to have the good and we want to have the villain and what's the other one? There's a villain and there's the hero. All right, the hero or the villain and the heroine. All right, so one is a poster for sainthood, right, and one is a poster for evil. All right, now I want us to examine those two main pillars of most stories. All right, and ask ourselves, how true is the hero? How true is the villain? You just need to treat each character in all their humanity. You know, so if we can always keep that in mind when we're telling our stories, then we will end up with stories that have a bit more complexity. That's the point of telling stories that are unstereotypical.
Through the Lofuto Group and its academy, Silva has helped train thousands of young actors and creatives, both male and female, thus providing equal access to professional training for women, mentorship pipelines that supports the genders, emphasis on professionalism and voice for women in the industry. Instead of just advocating for representation, she's helping create more women who can tell their own stories.
And when we represent our women in our stories, it is important that we must show the complexity of the kind of women that we have. I think the time has passed for us to have the saint, the witch, the whore. It is now time for us to say, even if you're a saint, you can be a whore as well. Even if you're a witch, you can be a saint and a whore, and depending on what is needed at that point in time.
And good people do bad things. So, how do we create a resolution? One of the stereotypes we have in our society, and we do it in the raising of our sons. Something that I've noticed that, you this, hey, see my son, you break so many hearts, yeah. A lot of mothers do that. Little boys, you're bouncing, hey, you're going to be a heartbreaker. Going with what I'm saying is this, we then expect that the young man, so it's not that we expect, we are not surprised if the young man has about 3 or 4 girlfriends at the same time.
We must know, and we cannot, because I believe that if we insist that people are just one thing, it is too much of a burden. Do not call me a saint. I am not a saint. There are times when I am a witch. Do not call me, again, a whore. Do not call me a saint, because there are times when I'm a whore. It's very important in those spaces when it's important to just let it go. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah, because those are the things that the Lord imbued us with. And when we do those things at the right time, it is very important. So that is what we are about. Telling the stories that empower our women. But more importantly, I believe, is telling the stories that empower our women so that we take the burden of our men to be a particular way. We need to now create a bridge in which men and women are talking to each other as co-humans. We are not expecting our men to be the only burden bearers. We are partners.
In the office, when the man comes in, frowning and he's focused, ambitious. When a woman comes in without a smile, maybe they had a fight before. She's there carrying the whole world on her head. There's always that syndrome that the woman has got to be a saint. I think it is so. Not only is it stereotypical, it's putting too much weight, too much pressure. Too much pressure. You be allowed to be. So that you're not carrying so much guilt all the time.
As a Nollywood icon, Silva occupies a rare position. She is both a gatekeeper and a role model. Her continued relevance keeps older women visible in media, countering ageism and sexism. It demonstrates longevity for female careers in entertainment and signals that women can evolve into leadership, not fade out.
This idea that it's only women that cook, how valid is that in a situation where we have so many chefs in Nigeria? Do you get what I mean? Because in the reality of today is that we have a lot of male chefs. Because it's not as if there are no men who do amala. There are a lot of men who do amala and do amala really well. But they are not out there.
You know, I think what happens in marriage sometimes is that women stop the men from being who they are. That happens a lot. All of a sudden, the man who could cook cannot even boil an egg simply because you now took it. Oh no, that's my Jesus. And then you now start complaining. He doesn't do anything. You stopped him. That's the way they find relevance, and so the man is. So it's somebody. Is it something that we want to take away with us now? When we find our life partners, or we already have, if they like to make amala, leave them, let them be making it. Because you know what is fantastic with that is that when you have your kids and they are moving from formula to solid, it's the one that making it really, you know, yes, I'll be part of feeding the child and bonding with it. Aye, darling, that's one of the key responsibilities is to know when I see a story that I think that I know is not gender equitable, is to point it out, but give the reason why it is not, and also prefer a solution. What we do is that we give society a mirror. Yes. Okay? Now the mirror may be an actual mirror where you are just showing what's existing. All right. The mirror could also be a mirror that goes beyond the surface, because that's what the mirror shows you. It's the surface. You're wearing an orange shirt. You're an absolutely beautiful woman. But as writers, what we do is to then go inside. This woman is dressed in this beautiful orange shirt, you know, hair well groomed. What's going on inside? And in doing that, we bring out what is in the mirror. All right? And what we're asking our audience to do is to be brave enough to look in that mirror.
Illuminating single-sided story. That's one thing that I will work on. Conflicts that, you know, bring social impact, perspectives that either mirrors, you know, the society, reinforces.
Showing that women can actually, you know, work with car jacks and lift up a car and work as a mechanic, for example, you know, things that are typically what a man would do. So I'm trying to create stories, whether fiction or real, that show that, okay, there are other sides to gender. Show a man make meals for his woman, you know, not because she couldn't make the meals, but because he loves cooking and cooking makes him happier. You know, we don't tell stories like that. So
yes, we are about solutions. We are, no, it's not about, it's to get away from despair. That's what yes. That's, for me, that's what I'm about, because I think for humanity, that's where humanity needs to get to that place where it's not about despair. It's about getting the solution. So so as storytellers, we can suggest. We can suggest and let this conversation start so that the people then find the solution. Yeah, that's workable for their community.
Joker Silva's contribution is powerful yet systemic. She's working across representation, what we see, access, who gets in, power, who decide. That combination is what actually shifts an industry. This is why Joker Silva is our champion.